Hello and welcome to the Time Is Now podcast. I'm Jody Albert Moss, and I'd like to share some thoughts with you. Taking the time on this Monday morning to walk around my property and just see what's new, see what's changed, look for signs. I'm a firm believer that high vibrational energies, call them angels, call them guides, call them whatever you like, part of their communicating with us is that they can create signs in our environment. Often, if they just showed up, many of us would be startled, scared. That's not what they want. They want us to be receptive to communicating with them, receiving the information, but they don't want to scare us in the process. So a lot of times, maybe you'll see an animal, a bird, doing something that it wouldn't normally do, maybe landing in your windowsill, on the hood of your car, whatever. The type of bird is important, and the fact that it's doing something different is something to be aware of. There's been many books written about the messages that these spontaneous events create, but now you can just Google it. What is the meaning of the mourning dove, if that's the bird that presented itself? Or what is the meaning of the cardinal? What is the meaning of the coyote or the squirrel? Whatever grabs our attention, generally there's a message there, and we should be aware of that. So moving forward, and you go through your life and through your days and through your weeks, just look around. Look around for things that are different. Look around for signs and for messages. They're all around us. We just have to slow our lives down. We've gotten too much into the 9 to 5, have to go. Now the workday's not 8 hours anymore. Now it's 12 hours plus. 7 days a week. We get caught up in that, and it's understandable because we have to pay our bills and buy food and live in this reality. However, we can consciously slow it down, stop throughout the day, take a few breaths and look around. What's trying to communicate with us? What I like the most about wintertime, especially when we've had a snow, is I can go for a walk. And I can see signs. I can see coyote footprints. I can see rabbits. Often I can see field mice where they've gone underneath the snow. These are things that get my attention. Make me wonder. Make me use my imagination. What were these little animals doing? Most of the time it happens at night where they come around and leave their trails. What was on their minds? I know a lot of times with the coyotes, they're looking for food, so maybe the rabbits or whatever are trying to get away. But you can see the trails, that animals make. They generally take the same path all the time. So they create trails in the forest. I like to just follow those trails, calm my mind, and tune into the animal. See if I can see what the animal was seeing, what the animal was feeling, where the animal was going. Personally, I believe we need to live more like this, slowing things down, getting out in the forest, walking through the trees, just standing in the trees. There's a thing called forest bathing, and they've done studies where if you go for a walk in a forest and say you had high blood pressure, the trees in the forest in that environment will actually lower your blood pressure. And if it's like you had two people go for a walk and each had something different, one had high blood pressure, maybe another one had anxiety or whatever, the forest bathing, the trees, the being in the forest environment would assist each person individually. So how does that work? How do those energies know that? What is that interaction? These are the kinds of things I think about, when I get out in the woods and I experiment for myself. I feel rejuvenated. I feel calm. My spirit feels expanded. Maybe there isn't a forest where you live. Maybe there's just one or two trees. Maybe there's some grass. I know we all don't have the luxury of walking out your back door and there's a stream there and a forest there. And, you hear someone say about getting in nature and recharging. You may think that's hard. But wherever we live, we can tap into that energy. We just have to see it in our minds, see it in our imagination, and we connect with that. Maybe the access point to that energy for you is a house plant. It's the same thing. There are no solids. There is no beginning, no end. Everything is interconnected, so we can tap into that. So if you can't get outside, see if you can get a house plant or two. Connect with that. Back in the day when I was younger, people were talking about how they would talk to their plants and the plants would do better, how they would play the music and the plants would do better. There's some truth to that. Experiment for yourself. Buy a plant or maybe get some seeds. See how that goes. Bring some plants into your home, into your living environment. And as I said earlier, if you can get outside, go for a walk on the natural grass, the natural earth, it's so much better for you. I believe that's what we were meant to do. We're meant to connect to the energies around us, not be separate from them. Evolution and civilization has brought us to a point where we all wear these heavy boots, heavy coats. I have one on myself. It isolates us from the energies, So we have to try and get back to that. Back to who we were. Not so very long ago, we lived a different life. We think back to our grandparents and our great-grandparents. They lived differently. And there was a lot more of them spending time outside. Something important for us there. Where I live, the city's built up around me. You can hear the cars. There's a 4-lane highway right beside my house now. And they're building on the lot next to me, so I don't know how much longer we'll be here. We're only renting, so I fully expect to get noticed sometime. But you can see it's not only squeezing me out, but it squeezes the animals out. And behind the house where I live, they go behind the house, which is about 60 feet up from the river, and then they go along, and then they go down. They go down by the highway. So the city has built a walkway for people to get down and go under the bridge and see the river. Well, the animals use the grass area beside the walkway as their path. And it's a rather distinguishable path because lots of animals use it. Beavers, coyotes, rabbits, anything that wants to get across the highway goes down underneath the bridge. So I'm kind of fortunate because as far as I'm concerned, all the animals are my friends. So I treat them all equally. I do what I can to, put some food out for them, keep them safe, because quickly their homes are being destroyed. And not only the animals, I think of the trees, The animals have the luxury to be able to run away, to relocate. What do you think a tree feels? The tree sees the development coming closer and closer. The homes, the condos moving closer and closer. And as the development moves closer, they cut down the trees. Well, have you ever wondered, do the trees have awareness, some kind of consciousness? Ancient traditional teachings believe so. I believe so. So can you imagine the feelings of that tree, seeing the men coming with their chainsaws and their development equipment and cutting down the tree's relations? And that tree knows inevitably its turn's coming soon. That pains my heart when I think of that. You know, I think we have to start living a little differently, being more aware of everything around us, trying to live in harmony with it. Not just moving in, saying, that's my land, I'm going to put 3 condo complexes there and I don't care about the environment. I don't care about the natural energies or the animals. That's the wrong approach. We can't live like that anymore. So give that a little bit of thought. The land has a spirit, a consciousness. The rocks have a spirit, a consciousness. The river has energy and awareness. Where I live, we don't drink the water. The wells are so deep they're into the salt table and the water's all salty and it's not good. I'm on a septic system and a well. Everyone around us is on city water, but our water's not good. So about every 3 weeks I make the journey to a natural spring. And that natural spring was back there since the Depression era. There's an old one and there's a newer one. They put a steel culvert in next to the highway. So this natural spring bubbles up from the ground, fills the culvert, then overflows into the river. So it's clean water that you're getting. It's not taking it right from the river. So we go there and get our water, and we believe the energies of the earth, it's a healthier water for us. But my point where I'm going with this is, when I went to the spring, you know, there was ice forming, there was snow on the rocks. I believe that high vibrational beings can affect change in our environment. So they can affect the way the ice freezes, they can affect the way the snow falls. And I believe there's information there as well. We just have to be aware of the patterns. We have to be aware of the intuitive voices in ourselves that, you know, that gut feeling sometimes says, hey, there's something here I need to be aware of. We have to get back to that, more in tune with our land. Look for those messages and signals in the ice, in the clouds, the snow. There's so much around us. So much to be aware of, so much to learn from. You know, I have an Arcturian connection. I have a star map on my leg, which I've talked about and I've made videos about. Well, the messages that I get from the Arcturians are that for myself, I'm not just supposed to give messages. I'm supposed to share experiences I've had in the hopes that people will give it a try. Well, they'll think a little bit differently. Get outside that box. You know? I believe the Arcturians are part of putting messages in ice, in patterns in the world around us, in the way a bank of a river erodes. We just have to see it. We have to be aware of it. We have to be mindful. Meditation is very important. It helps. You know, it helps quiet the mind so these other energies around us can get our attention. Seeing the good in everything helps because it raises our vibration. It raises our frequency. These are the things that put us in a state that we are more receptive to the information around us. I was inspired to write a book, and the title of that book is The Time Is Now. In that book, I share a lot of experiences throughout my life. You know, when I'm up north in the woods, you know, my work life, spiritual awakening, my arcturian connection. That book's available on my website, jodyalbertmoss.com, and we just want to make it accessible to people. If it speaks to you, I would encourage you to think about getting a copy of that book. We wrote the book in a physical form for a reason. I was guided. The information coming to me said, put your symbol on the cover, the Tekoa symbol. Give the people a physical copy that they can hold, that they can take with them, that they can read if the power goes off. All these digital files and everything, once everything goes down, you can't access it. That's not what we wanted. I'm just trying to navigate this little hill here. So if that speaks to you, in the book, I also share instruction and exercises that I use that I know has enhanced my life and will enhance your life as well. So thank you for joining me. This is a short podcast. I want to do some short ones and some fairly long ones. So I try to make my podcasts around 15 minutes and 30 minutes. Because I know myself, I'm busy, you're busy. We don't all have time to listen to 3-hour podcasts. So this is the approach I've taken. It's being well received. I thank you again for joining me. And I look forward to sharing again with you soon. Have a fantastic day.